Scott Fox after 9, brand new episode ready to go. And after yesterday's episode, which was a little heavier, yesterday was the first time in ages that we were able to play some audio from the Prime Minister because I don't know where the guy's been. We have multiple crises going on and he disappeared for 2 weeks, but he's back and the elbows are down. He has dropped the retaliatory tariffs against America. He's talking about putting boots on the ground in Ukraine. It was a heavy episode. So today, I'm going to try and keep things a little bit lighter. I've still got a lot of news to report for you, but I'm going to try and keep it a little less political and a little more stuff that affects us on a day-to-day basis. Sound good? I hope so. I promised you this week I would do at least 4 episodes. I'm going to let you know that Friday is a regular listener DM episode. However, Thursday, no new episode coming out. Why is that? Because I love airplanes. And I finally, after all the years that I've worked in broadcasting, it wasn't until I became a full-time podcaster that I got an invite to Media Day for the air show. Let me bring in the great Ana Almeida to talk about this. Hi, Ana. How you doing?
Hey, I'm really excited for you because when you talk about airplanes and the fact that you have this opportunity, your face lights up. So I think this is such a wonderful opportunity. Took you a long time to get it, though.
Yeah, almost 30 years of doing this, and they never once invited me to Media Day for the air show. Now, you launch a big podcast, and bam, there you go. So on Thursday, right after the radio show, I'm going to the airport.
So cool.
And I'm going to get to tour and sit in a CF-18, a Snowbird, and many, many other planes. And I am excited. So don't expect an episode on Thursday, everybody, but we are now up to 175 episodes. So there are certainly things that you're welcome to go back and listen to if you'd like. Friday will be a listener DM episode. Anna, how are you?
I'm great. First, can I say congratulations? That's a lot of episodes under your belt.
175.
That's exciting.
And counting.
Exactly.
Okay, coming up in this one, we're going to talk a little bit about dogs. We're going to talk a little bit about, there's no nice way to say this, guys. And please, if I do happen to use the wrong terminology or offensive terminology, please don't hold it against me because I'm going to do this in the spirit of having a conversation. But sometimes you got to say something uncomfortable. And I'm going to talk about heavy people. Is that the way to say it? We don't say fat anymore. Chubby? No, chubby's insulting.
Yeah, larger.
Oversized people? What is the word? Obese? Is obese a word that we can use still?
But obese is still, people don't want to be classified as obese.
But if you're obese, you're obese.
Oh, it's okay, so it's touchy. Hey, maybe a listener DM, somebody will tell us how to properly refer to somebody who is on the larger side.
Coming up in this episode, we'll talk about folks who are on the larger side. There's a good way to put it. And a whole bunch more. So we're going to blow through some topics here. And I'm going to start off by talking about something that I love. Dogs. I have, for those who don't know, Bernese mountain dog / poodle mix. It's called a Bernie Doodle. Charlie is his name. And I got to tell you, if you've ever considered getting a Bernie Doodle, I've had a lot of dogs over the years. I've never had one this smart, one that I have that much of a connection with. Charlie is, on some level, the dog equivalent of a soulmate.
I mean, I believe that. I've had a soulmate, my soul dog, Bailey, but I've met Charles. He's such a distinguished gentleman.
He is a gentleman.
He looks right through you. His eyes are piercing. He has human eyes, and he makes you feel like $1 million and he's a dog.
Well, today is National Dog Day. It's a day where we're supposed to just go the extra mile to show our dogs how much we appreciate them. So there's lots of options. I mean, on his birthday, I always take Charlie through the drive-thru. I'll take him for a burger. And the look on your dog's face when you go through the drive-thru, and you know the dogs, they've watched us go through the drive-thru 1,000,000 times, and usually you just take that food home, or you sit there and eat it. Maybe they'll get a fry or something like that. When you go through the drive-thru specifically to order for the dog, and you take that bag, and you open up that burger, and just hand it to the dog in the back, it's like their life changed.
It's Christmas morning for them. It's the best feeling seeing them so happy. I have a dog too, which we've talked about on here. He's a double XL bully breed named Max. So he's a big boy. And people often say that he looks like the dog from Little Rascals.
Ah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
How much does Max weigh?
But we're trying to get him to lose weight because he's on the larger side of dogs. He's 133 pounds, so he and I weigh the same. We're trying to get him to get down to at least 110.
Wow, 20 pounds for a dog is substantial.
Yeah, he gained 30 once we moved back to Cambridge and my dad got a hold of him. So he's been living this happy life. You're talking about those hamburgers. Max has been treated like a king.
Huh.
So
I do that, though. I mean, I cook for my dog. When I get home from work today, I will go and make him a sandwich or sometimes a grilled cheese, sometimes like a turkey on whole wheat with lettuce and tomato. He eats the exact same stuff we eat. And I know there's probably some veterinarians listening right now that think, oh, my God, that's terrible. I mean, I don't know. I looked at the ingredients on the bag of dog food that the vets apparently recommend, and it doesn't seem any better. I don't know why I wouldn't cook him real food that I cook pretty lean to begin with. I use pretty clean ingredients, whole ingredients, and I think that's probably way better for the dog than some of the nonsense they put in kibble.
So my dad says the same thing because in Portugal, there was no such thing as kibble. The dogs ate what you ate, and a lot of it was scraps. And so he feels Max is already winning in that department because it's not scraps. He's getting good food, and he'd rather Max eat what he's giving him than the kibble. But it's just there was too much of it all at once. It wasn't spaced out, so he gained a lot of weight very quickly, which is not good for his joints. So I'm trying to scale it back. So he still gets his peanut butter toast in the morning with my dad. My dad has a slice, he has a slice, But from there, we just have to cut back on certain treats. He doesn't have to have all the treats if he's going to eat like a king with meals.
I wish there were more dog-friendly areas. I think it's great when you can take your dog. I mean, keep in mind here, to a dog, the world is only as big as you show them.
Yeah.
And if you are going to sit on a patio and watch an NFL game or a Jays game, if they have a dog-friendly area on the patio, why not take the dog? Some of them even have dog menus. There's a restaurant that I go to from time to time called the Black Swan. That is my local in Burlington. It's very close to my house. And at the Black Swan, the patio is dog-friendly, and they have a dog menu. When you go in, the first thing they do, if you have a dog, is bring out a bowl of water for the dog, so they've got something to drink. Then you can order food similar to a kid's menu, but it's a dog menu. Very bland, simple ingredients, but it's all stuff that a dog could eat. When you order off the menu for the dog and then the server brings the food for the dog, again, the look on their face, they feel like they're part of the family. It's amazing.
And they are. And the fact that a restaurant recognizes that, to me, they get 2 thumbs up. I've taken my dog to HomeSense, to Winners. You can take them to Canadian Tire. Any place that is dog friendly, I've taken my old dog Bailey in. Max is just too scared of everything, so I'd probably have to carry him like a baby so he doesn't get to come in. But yeah, to have a place where you can still have your dog with you is the best. And I love when people bring their dogs. I get right in there and get to meet new people too that way.
Well, yesterday, dogs were a topic that came up with Premier Doug Ford, who was doing a speech in London, Ontario. And it came out recently that for some reason, I don't even know if I talked about this on the pod yet. For some reason, the hospital in London was conducting experiments on dogs, and they were testing their hearts, I believe.
Yeah.
And when the experiment concluded, they would kill the dog and remove the organs to study. Oh. And I know that that's like jarring for people to hear because we don't think of that sort of thing happening in a civilized place like Ontario. And I would love to think that it'll never happen again. I'd love to think that that was an isolated incident. I'm shocked that it went on. I hope no taxpayer dollars were spent on that. But we now know it was happening. And Premier Ford has put an end to it. Well, yesterday, he was back in London and he got asked a question about that. Anna, I'm going to do just a little bit of this exchange with the Premier.
In the face of President Trump's tariffs, we're also making...
No, that's him getting all uppity about Trump again. I'm probably not even going to play that because I can't handle any more Doug Ford ranting and raving about Donald Trump.
Every day is something different that he's going to say.
The TDS on Doug Ford is just outrageous. Like, I think he should get some help. Like, if he's that rattled by one man, clearly Donald Trump is living rent-free in Doug Ford's head. I'm not even going to entertain this nonsense anymore. He's got to stop.
It's often.
You won the election. You know there's no threat, Doug. Get off of it. Just stop. Let's get to Doug Ford, though, talking about something that we all might be interested in hearing. Dogs.
Okay.
Hi, Premier Ford. Kendra Segan from CBC London.
Yes.
I wanted to check in with you about another story out of London. We're hoping to seek some more clarity about your thoughts on the dog testing out of St. Joseph's Hospital. We know that you spoke out against it. It has since ended. Did you order that to end?
Well, I discouraged it. You know, you can't be experimenting on dogs. They're part of our families. They're cats. You know, go with the mice, go with the rats, no problem. But these are pets, and it's done. You can't do it anymore. Now I'm going to start looking for everyone else. If there's anyone else out there that's doing this to animals, come clean, because we're going to catch you. And it's just terrible. You can tell I'm an animal lover, but it's just terrible what they're doing. And thank you for that applause, whoever just gave me that. Thank you, buddy. You gotta protect our animals.
I'm just going to interrupt the Premier there before I get to the follow-up question, because bravo. Yeah. I want that. That's what I want my leaders doing. This is an issue that politicians could take on, but usually they don't. When have you ever heard a politician say, no, it's wrong that you are testing on pets? We're not doing that anymore. That's the end of it. If you want to use the rats and the mice and the snakes and the whatever else, go for it. Whatever. But you're not doing that on dogs and cats. No. I like that he took a principled stance there, and I congratulate him. If I was there, I would have been the other person clapping.
Me too. I think of the mice like standing up and being like, huh? And then going on about their business.
And just a
Our
follow-up.
pets. Yes.
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that as well. I know you mentioned in Windsor that you're planning to introduce some legislation. Can you explain a little bit more about the criteria that you're planning to look at and what that legislation is going to look like?
Well, legislation will be pretty short and simple. You aren't going to use pets, dogs or cats, to experiment on any longer. Simple as that. We just don't do that. It's cruel, and it's unacceptable. I can't believe they got away with that this long, and I got to thank the whistleblower that sent me pictures and texted me and everything else. That person's a champion. Unfortunately, she's lost her job, and not because they know who it is. I don't know. It's frustrating. Anyways, we got to find her a job.
Well said.
Yes.
I'd like to help her find that job too. If you're a whistleblower, you're supposed to have whistleblower protection. Now, I did not know until the Premier made that very comment that the person who reported it to the Premier, that they're testing on dogs and killing them at St. Joseph's Hospital in London. Ugh. Doug didn't know about it, he says, until he found out from that whistleblower. The fact that whistleblower has lost their job, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. I'd like to know why that happened, because we are supposed to have whistleblower protection. If your workplace is doing something illegal or immoral or something like that, people need to know about it. The authorities need to know about it. This person went right to the Premier's office. Great. Thank you for doing that. Whoever you are, I applaud you. If you want to reach out to me, I will keep you anonymous, but I would love to hear from you and ask you a few questions. Feel free to slide into my DMs. This person losing their job because they blew the whistle on this, I think that's wrong, Anna.
I agree with you. It's very much a horrible situation to have been put in to see what was going on, and then they did the right thing. You know, that person ended up saving a lot more lives when it came to this inhumane treatment of these animals.
But who thought that was okay? To use taxpayer dollars to kill dogs and cats,
well,
rip their organs out.
Yeah, well, they play it like, oh, we're trying to do research that would benefit,
what?
That would one day benefit humans. So that's the way I think that they were trying to angle it and making it okay. It still wasn't okay, but that's how they were trying to approach it.
Meanwhile, we've got another story about animals brewing in Canada. Out in British Columbia, there is a farm that has ostriches, and the ostriches in that area that they were in, there was an outbreak of avian bird flu. And some of the ostriches died. That's sad. Ostriches, by the way, I feel like are a commonly misunderstood animal. They're incredible animals. And their time on this earth precedes humans. They are ancient in origin. And I don't know that we're in any position to be making decisions over them. But here we are doing it. So some of those ostriches died from avian bird flu, but not all of them. The rest of them survived it. Think about those who survived COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what was it they told us? When you get COVID and recover from it, you develop antibodies. That happens with viruses. Mm-hmm. These birds survived avian bird flu which means they have antibodies in them. But the Canadian Food Inspection Agency wants these birds destroyed, and they're going to great lengths to try and have these birds killed. The owner of the farm where the ostriches live obviously does not want to cull their flock, so they've gone right to the courts to try and protect it. Nope. Again, the courts sided with the government, who said, we have to prevent future outbreaks. We have to kill these birds. We got to kill them. Well, people around the world have been hearing about this story and offering support in the way of money or what have you for this farm. The newest supporter just came out in the last 48 hours. It's none other than Dr. Oz.
The TV doctor?
The TV doctor. And what Dr. Oz proposed, I think, is perfect common sense. Dr. Oz said, hey, listen, don't kill those ostriches. They survived something that we're trying to eradicate. They have antibodies. Let me take them to my sanctuary on my property. I will do, in a humane way, studies on these ostriches to try and figure out how they did it, to study the antibodies they've developed, and possibly eradicate bird flu forever. You know, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency still wants these birds killed?
Oh, get out of here. They just, even if they know that that's the right move, they're still holding that, nope, we're standing by what we said and they must all die. Come on, this is for the better of everybody. Let Dr. Oz take these birds.
I think so, too. I mean, it's common sense. We want to study them. You know, the same folks who insisted we need to follow the science clearly are not interested in science in any way. They just want what they want, and they're just checking boxes. Okay, if there was an outbreak, you got to kill the entire flock. That's part of the reason that America ended up with an egg shortage earlier this year, because they killed so many chickens that might have been infected. In this case, these birds do not have bird flu. They don't.
But they don't want to run the risk, the potential that they had it. You know, this...
It's a lot of ifs and buts. I don't think that the CFIA should have a problem with this. They should stay out of it, transport the birds in a safe way so that they're secure. They obviously won't intermix with other birds wherever they're going at Dr. Oz's place. And yeah, let's find a cure here. If they've got the antibodies, let's study it in a humane way.
Absolutely. Let's get to the bottom of it. And it took Dr. Oz to think about this solution.
Well, there's clearly not a lot of science being done by the Canadian government.
They just want to kill everything.
It seems that way,
Done.
Anna. Seems
Get rid
that
of
way.
it when there's obviously a bigger picture here.
Let's keep going. A lot of topics on this pod today. And the latest one, this was very controversial today on our radio show. Southwest Airlines, this is an American airline and a big one, has announced a major change starting on January 27th. So about 5 months from now. Passengers who require more than one seat because of their size and stature will need to purchase 2 tickets in advance. The change comes as the carrier moves away from its longstanding open seating model to an assigned seating system. The policy marks a significant shift for Southwest, which previously allowed larger passengers to request a second seat at no extra cost under their Customers of Size program. For those who aren't sure what that means, until now, if you were did we come to a consensus?
On the larger side?
If you were a larger individual that took up more than one seat, they would try and accommodate you. If there was an empty seat, they would put you somewhere where you could have the seat beside you because you're a larger person. However, every one of those seats is worth money to an airline, and they would like to, in an ideal world, sell every seat on the plane. That's how they make money. But then again, there's others who feel this is not something someone can control, and you're being punitive against larger people simply because of their size. Where do we land on this, Anna?
Wow. You know, we struck a lot of emotions today when we talked about this on the radio show. I feel like it's wrong to have to get somebody to pay for an entire other seat beside them. I hope that they could come up with like a discounted price that would make people feel a little bit better. Sometimes you can't lose weight. Sometimes it's conditions that they've been met with medically and they're just larger. They can't control it, and some can. However, I've sat in the middle. I know what it's like when somebody takes up my space. It's not comfortable. I just don't want to shame someone. How do we even approach this? How do they know that they need 2 seats when they're booking their flight?
How do you not know you're going to need 2 seats? If you're obese, and I'm just going to use the word, I'm going to say it the way it is. If you're obese, and you would have to be a very, very overweight individual to require more than 1 seat. And in this case, we're just talking about weight, girth. I know that there's probably some bodybuilders out there with shoulders as wide as long as my legs are. And I understand they come with a different set of challenges as well. However, this is specifically for plus size passengers. The airline, if the plane has got, say, 300 seats on it, and you take up 2 of them, it makes perfect sense that you would pay for 2. And I understand that you can't necessarily control your weight, but the airline can't control who comes on the airplane either. It's not like they can discriminate against people who are larger. So if you are going to come on the plane and you do take up more than 1 seat, I think it makes perfect sense that you would have to pay for it. Now, if you're overweight, I understand it sucks. Maybe you can, maybe you can't control it. But either way, if you're taking up 2 seats, I understand why a business would want to charge you for what you're using.
I get it's you got to make money to keep, the business in operation. I understand that. However, I still feel like you would feel terrible about almost feeling like you're being body shamed for the size that you are. Can't there be a different way of approaching this where instead of you buying 2 full price tickets for 2 seats, maybe they could come up with a conclusion that would say, hey, instead of paying this full price, you obviously need this much room. How about we do this and give it to them for that much? Okay,
so you're suggesting if it would normally cost $100 a seat, rather than them paying $200, maybe they just pay $150.
Exactly.
But no, because the airline is charging $100 a seat, and they could sell it to I don't want to say normal. No, I'm going to say it. I mean, I don't want to dance around this. It is what it is, and we got to talk about this. 2 regular-sized individuals would each pay $100. Even if they discount it for 1 larger person who takes up 2 seats, they're still losing money. Yeah, and I don't know that it should be on them to take the hit.
Yeah, but they're also making money with every suitcase. If you're overweight in suitcase, even if you're 3 pounds, they still try to charge you. And I just take 3 pounds of clothing out of my suitcase, put it on my body, and then it's okay. So there has to be some sort of way to fix this problem without people feeling like they can't fly because they're embarrassed about their size.
Okay. Is embarrassment, though, the airline's problem or the person's problem?
I think, it's the person who's feeling that way. Nobody wants to feel like they're a burden or that they're not like everybody else. And that's the problem here. I think that's the message that they're going to feel like, oh, wow, now my size is even more of an issue than it was beforehand.
But, and again, I don't want to be insensitive, but that is the issue. If you are taking up 2 seats, that's 2 seats that are revenue for the airline. I understand what you're saying about weight. This is just talking about physical size. If you can't fit in a seat with the 2 armrests down and put that seatbelt on, some people require those seatbelt extenders.
Yes.
If you need that seatbelt extender or your weight is falling over into the seats beside you, you probably need 2 seats. And I don't understand why you would get that cheaper or why the airline should accommodate you and give you that extra space when that is potential revenue for them. It's one thing if the plane is not sold out and they can't accommodate people, but planes are full. Yeah. Most of the time. And I don't know that they could promise in advance that you're going to get that second seat because you need it. Then they're kind of opening up a whole can of worms. Well, I need this. I'm tall. Give me a seat with nobody in front of me. They charge more, by the way, for those seats with extra leg room. Someone can't help how tall they are, for sure. We all agree on that. Is the solution then, if you're overweight?
Yes.
If you take up 2 seats and you don't want to buy 2 seats for yourself, why don't you spend the extra money and move up to business class where the seats are bigger to begin with?
I would much rather that. And you get a more enjoyable experience and likelihood. It's maybe not as expensive as purchasing 2 seats. Not necessarily, but in my mind, that's how I would approach it. And I think that's a nice way to, take that flight. It's such a sticky situation because I don't want to be stuck in the middle either and having somebody completely put all their size onto my size. But that goes with anybody too when I've been traveling and they are just not conscious of my personal space and they use their elbow room and I feel like I'm just in a little ball sitting there for the next few hours.
You mentioned weight. And again, we're talking about physical size, but weight's an interesting one because as everyone knows, when you go to the airport, first thing you do when you check in is you weigh your suitcase.
Yep.
And you're allowed, say, 50 pounds. If it's 51 pounds, they're going to charge you an extra $40. It's obnoxious.
It is.
And they say it's because they have to control the weight on the aircraft. Yet they have no problem with you taking a sweater out of that suitcase and putting it on and wearing it on the plane. And then it's still the same amount of weight on the plane. It's just distributed differently. And that's no issue. So clearly they're factoring weight into this. If weight is an issue, why don't they charge by weight for seats? Hey, I weigh 185 pounds. Finally, I can say that because I fought a long time to get from the 225 I was at down to 185.
Good on you.
I worked hard to do that. And if I weigh 185, obviously that's a lot less than somebody who weighs 250. But we pay the exact same amount for a seat. So how do they base things on weight when they're almost contradicting themselves?
Absolutely. I also think potentially they could put the size of the seats on their booking list. So when you go to book, you can see the parameters and maybe know then if you do fit in it comfortably or not, or if you need to get the second seat. I think that could help things as well when it comes to the transaction. Because you don't want to be the person behind the desk being like, oh, sir or ma'am, I think it's time that you start to think about getting another seat on your next flight so you have two seats so you can fit comfortably.
Have you ever had to justify the size of your carry-on? They make you stick it in that little rack there, and if it fits, you can take it as carry-on. If it doesn't fit, you got to check the bag.
Absolutely.
Maybe they need a seat that you have to sit in. And if you take up more than one seat, well, here's the extra charge, but we'll give you the seat beside you. It might pay off. Maybe they'll get 2 meals.
Oh my gosh, it's like going to Canada's Wonderland and you have to sit in the seat or see if you're the same, meet the height requirement. I would die if I had to do that. On it, I could not.
You're short. I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative way or an attack.
I am short.
You are.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask exactly how tall you are?
I'm 5'2".
5'2". Are there rides that you can't go on because you're too little?
There have been, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
As an adult, they'll tell you, sorry, you're not tall enough to ride the Vortex or whatever.
Now I'm okay, but there was a time, and especially too, if your frame is small, you could be short and super skinny. There is that risk you could fly right out of the seat, even if it goes over your shoulders. So you have to be really conscientious of things like that. I get what they're trying to do. I totally get it. It's an operation. You got to make money to keep your business intact. However, this is something people have to deal with on a regular basis. And if you are overweight or are on the larger side, it puts things into perspective where you're kind of, you don't know how to feel about it. And it's expensive to fly as it is. So hopefully they can come up with a resolution where it won't break the bank either so they can get people in seats.
I admire that you are thinking about those people who are on the heavier side. I admire that. But everything practical about this tells me it makes sense to charge people if they take up 2 seats. I mean, do you see it from the practical standpoint, or is it just the compassionate part of you that is leading the way on this?
The compassionate part is leading the way for sure. Because I've met people along my travels and I see the struggles and I see those people who don't get to go on the roller coaster with their kids because they're larger and don't fit into seats. And I feel for them. And I know the easiest argument is, well, they should lose weight. Not necessarily.
No, I don't buy that either.
I don't buy that either. So I think there has to be some part in you where you see the compassion and understand that not every situation is the same. In that, I think come up with a better solution instead of just paying full price for 2 seats. Try to come up with a discounted rate, and when you go and check in, they can see that you do meet that criteria. Instead of me being like, oh, I feel like I want 2 seats because I'm on the larger side, and then they see me and I'm not really that. I think that's how they can kind of test out the regulations for it.
Should there be specific planes for overweight people?
Gosh,
that have much wider seats and stuff like that. It would cost a lot more. You could also fly private, but that also costs a lot more.
Couldn't they take out rows right now in certain aircrafts and make them 2? So
I mean, they could. Hey, Porter is great because their flights are 2 rows of 2.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. You don't have to be in the middle ever. That might mitigate some of it. Hey, this is a Southwest thing in America. They're the ones doing it. But you know that if they are, and they figure that this is going to make them more money, generate revenue in some way, whatever, all the other airlines are going to follow suit, including the Canadian ones. This is going to start January 27th there, and eventually it'll find its way here.
I do think if they are willing to put in stand-in where you stand on the airplanes for cheaper flights for shorter commutes, I think they can remove some of the older seats and make them wider and then have that as a certain fee for people to pay.
So, when I ask, what does O do? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Moving on, the beer store and the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, are both on my radar today. First off, another video is circulating around of people brazenly walking into an LCBO store, didn't even try to cover their face, filling up bags and bags and bags of booze that we taxpayers paid for and walking out of the store. Nobody tried to stop them. Nobody.
They looked right in the camera, people's phones. They looked right at them as they put the liquor in their bags to take.
How much longer are we going to allow that to go on? For those who don't know, it is a policy at the LCBO that staff cannot intervene. You could actually be fired for trying to prevent the business from being robbed. You could be. They say this is for safety. Okay, I understand that. You don't necessarily want some senior citizen who's just making a little extra money on the side, or some single mom who's just trying to make ends meet, trying to confront a bad person who's stealing from the LCBO. It makes perfect sense that it's a policy staff don't intervene. But I mean, we're paying security to be at every one of these locations. Security companies are billing the government millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. What is their job? What is their function? Why are they there? And why are we paying, as taxpayers, these security companies to stand at the LCBO and do absolutely nothing when the store is actively being robbed?
Yeah, and this is not us poo-pooing on you if you are a security guard. It's just the fact. Why be there if you can't do anything? I don't feel any safer with you being there.
No, nobody does. It's not like it's a cop that's there. These security guards are unarmed. What are we doing paying these people to be there when they don't actually serve a function?
They're just greeters.
That's basically what they are.
Hey, have a nice day. Thanks for coming. Bye.
And I mean, the bad people aren't intimidated by them.
Never.
If anybody is, it's probably just the regular run-of-the-mill customers. When you see security, okay, I'll be careful. Why are we paying them? I mean, it's a serious question. Is anybody at the LCBO listening? Anybody at Queen's Park listening? Could you guys let me know? I just want a good answer. We spend millions guarding the LCBO, hiring these private companies who are staffing it with people that, I don't know what qualifies them to be a security guard, but they're there. They're being paid to do quote unquote security. But if they don't actually provide any security, aren't we just wasting taxpayer money?
Absolutely. And anytime I've seen any of those videos of criminals taking liquor, I never see the security. Where are they?
This is the thing. They're the ones, I think, filming it. Well, that's not very helpful.
I know it's not helpful. And that also tells me when the criminals are looking right at the camera taking the video, okay, yeah, that's the security. That just goes to show how not intimidated they are at all to commit a crime, and so brazen and during the day, and when other people are in the store, they just don't care. So why not just put a cop in there? Can we not?
I don't think we have enough cops.
Yeah, that's and then what happens after? These videos keep circulating of these criminals, but I never see any arrests being made.
I've heard of a couple high-profile ones,
good.
But it's only the real high-profile ones. Yet every now and again, you'll hear a story that, hey, they caught some guy who's suspected of stealing like $70,000 worth of alcohol from the LCBO. Well, how many times did they rob the place to get up to $70,000 before they got caught? Is anyone in the police force looking? Like, we've got clear video of these guys doing that at this LCBO store that they say is in Kitchener, yet all the signage is in French. So I'm not quite sure what the story is there, but they've got clear video. Are the cops like running facial recognition technology? Are they putting up posters like, hey, this person is wanted? Or do they not care? Is this just small change? Because if it is small change and the cops aren't looking for anybody, then we need to change the policy or stop spending money on security.
Yes.
Or just make it a free-for-all. Anybody can go in and do it. If we're not going to enforce the law that you can't walk into the LCBO, grab whatever you want, and just walk out the front door, you can't. There needs to be consequences for committing that crime. If they're not going to enforce it, if security's not going to do anything about it, then level the playing field and just make it known. If you steal from the LCBO, we're probably not coming to get you. Because maybe I wouldn't mind doing that. Maybe you should do that. Why are the law-abiding citizens, the hard workers that are paying taxes that fund the operations of the LCBO, why on earth are we paying for it? We have to follow the rules. But if you're just some lawless criminal piece of you-know-what, it's just free booze. That's not okay.
No, it's not okay. There's lots wrong with that situation. Even when I've gone in to buy liquor and I say that they're just a glorified greeter, these security guards there, sometimes I feel like they're watching me and I think to myself, really?
For what?
Exactly. I'm not the criminal here. There's bigger fish to fry. And so you should go back to the door and watch for the real criminals. But maybe that makes them feel like they're doing something.
We took the U.S. liquor off the store shelves here in Ontario. I know every province is different, but in Ontario, it's gone. I think it is in most provinces. In Quebec, they're dealing with an issue where they've got about $300,000 worth of alcohol that's about to expire. Its best before date is rapidly approaching. I didn't even know that there was a shelf life on pre-mixed canned cocktails.
Me either.
You can have a can of Coke or Sprite that'll last for years. I didn't know that if it's a Dylan's Gin Fizz, it's apparently going to go bad by a certain date. Same thing with boxed wine and a few other beverages. So now the Quebec government has got to decide, are we putting the U.S. alcohol back on sale or are we going to throw it out?
Don't throw it out.
But you know what?
What a waste.
We're going to have to answer that question here in Ontario soon, and it's going to have to be uncomfortable for the premier because it was his brilliant idea to take it off the shelves for some stupid reason. We already bought it.
Yeah.
It's in the stores. It's just sitting in the back. If we get to a time where we're going to have to throw it out, I fully expect that they're going to make it available so that those of us who want to buy it and would buy it can buy it. Don't you dare throw it out.
Don't throw it out. Give us a discount, or otherwise we're sending the criminals in there to go steal all of them because they don't care.
Meanwhile, the beer store is also in the news. For those who don't know, the liquor stores are owned by the Crown, the province. It is a government business, and in my estimation, the government shouldn't be allowed to have a monopoly over liquor sales. It is the most lucrative industry on earth, or it was anyway, until cannabis came around. The government controls the LCBO, but not the beer store. The beer store is owned by a conglomerate that is a collection of different beer companies.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's not owned by the government. The beer store is Molson, Labatt, Sleeman. They all operate the beer store. And it's good for them. They've got to get their product out to restaurants and bars. They've got to get it into homes and stores. It makes perfect sense that they would be a big warehouse style store. And that's why they're set up in the way they are, where we can all go into a beer store and get whatever beer we want. But it also means those conglomerates control what beer is available. And that is a distinct advantage over some of the smaller brewers who may not be able to convince them, put our beer in your store.
Yeah.
So having said that, one of the changes that got made recently in Ontario was we allowed grocery stores, convenience stores, gas stations, and what have you to sell beer. And that, nobody could have seen this coming, has got people going to convenience stores, grocery stores, and gas stations to buy beer, and they're not going to the beer store the way they used to. And now many beer stores are closing down.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different issues surrounding this. Some people are pointing out the government was reckless by allowing the beer to be sold everywhere, and they should have just kept it at the beer store. And since they didn't, now all kinds of people are losing their jobs. And we're losing money all over the place. I don't think we're losing any money. I also don't think the conglomerates that own the beer store are all that upset about it. They get to close down locations. Maybe some were profitable, maybe some weren't.
Yes.
Either way, they get to centralize their operations, create just a few key distribution hubs, and they cut their workforce, which lowers their cost. I think the conglomerates that own the beer store are probably thrilled with this because they're in the beer selling business. They just want to sell their product. They don't necessarily need to operate these businesses on the side aka the beer store. It is sad that some people are losing their job, but I don't know that we need those jobs in 2025 when you can get beer everywhere. It's much more convenient, and by and large, it was very popular when the government announced they were going to allow beer to be sold everywhere. A few people opposed it. Some people didn't even really have an issue with it. They just don't like the government, so they opposed it. But by and large, I think most of us find it convenient, wouldn't you say?
It's absolutely convenient. Having lived out in Nova Scotia, there weren't very many beer stores. Everything was sold together at the liquor store, and you would go to a grocery store because the liquor store tended to be attached to a grocery store. So it was a one-stop shop for so long. The only beer stores were smaller ones, like you said, where they would downsize and have one particular hub and you could go there, but they would make it interesting. They would be open on holidays and it would be open 24 hours, let's say, or longer periods of time where if you couldn't get to the liquor store, that was the advantage. But they were very far and in between, but it worked. So you knew that those were the places to go if you needed it. It wasn't at every other stop where they were competing with one another. So I thought that was a great move by our government to do that here.
I thought so too. I thought it was great. Now, we probably paid a lot more than we should have, and some people will blame Doug Ford for that. I don't blame him at all. The reason we had to pay to get out of the contract that we had with the beer store is because of an insane, reckless deal that the former Liberal Premier, Kathleen Wynne, signed. So Doug undid that. He allowed us to have much more convenience. It's great. You can get beer wherever you might need to get beer. You shouldn't have to go to multiple different places to get these things. We want convenience.
Yeah.
And that's what we have now. So the two problems here are beer stores are closing, which means some people are losing their job. I feel bad about that, but again, I'm not even sure that we needed to have the beer store in the first place. It was a major gift to the conglomerates who owned it because they had a monopoly on beer sales. So I don't really buy that as an argument about the jobs. It's unfortunate timing, but again, I don't think we should have had that.
Yeah.
But the other issue here is the beer store is where you take your empties, not just your beer empties. It's where you take your liquor empties.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know that, hey, collect up your empties, take them back, and you can get some good money there. Maybe you end up with a free 2-4. Maybe you take the cash. You can do whatever you want with that money. Well, now because beer stores are closing, the onus has to shift to the stores that are selling, and it would require them to accept empties. And that's a problem for your Petro-Canadas, your Essos, your grocery stores, because they don't necessarily have the capacity to have people walk in, drop off a tray full of empties, store them until they can be sent wherever it is they get sent, and issue the refund for people.
I'm going to ask you a basic question, and excuse me if I sound dumb. Do we not have bottle companies here, bottle drop-offs? That's what we had in Nova Scotia. So it was just dedicated to if you have empties, you would just drop it off there.
That's right. And they have that in Alberta, for example. I've seen it there. I've seen it in British Columbia. Ontario, you just take your empties to the beer store.
That's the only place.
That's where they go. And that was part of the deal we had with the beer store is that they would accept empties from beer and from liquor. And they would take it and sort it and do whatever it is they have to do with it. They'd give you your money. Fine. I have a common sense solution. If anybody is listening, because now we're wondering, what are we going to do? And it may be that some stores who are doing quite well selling beer right now simply don't have the capacity to have all these empties and store them. They also may not be a cash operation that can hand out refunds in an efficient way. There's also a public health risk. Every one of those things has had somebody's lips and saliva all over it. You don't necessarily want people coming into the grocery store with those just laying around.
Yes.
So here's the solution. Hear me out, everybody. We could solve a problem here. Cancel the deposit. No more refunds on bottles. Don't charge the extra. Nobody should expect to get a refund when they recycle it. End of story. Your liquor, empty liquor containers will just go in the blue bin with all of your other cans and bottles and things like that. No more deposit.
It's simple.
It's very simple.
It's simple.
Hey, listen, there was a time when it made sense to put that deposit on because we didn't want to put the extra capacity on our recycling facilities, for example. There was also a time when we had to do that because people used to throw their cans and things like that in the garbage. And we were trying for a long time there to promote recycling. Everybody's recycling now. We don't need to do this education process and reward people with a dime for returning an empty bottle of wine or an empty can of beer. We don't need to do that anymore. People are already recycling. So this is very simple. You can charge us less when we buy it, but nobody's going to expect a refund when we return it. And that's the end of the story. You just discard it the way you would anything else. It goes in the blue bin.
I fully support that. I think that's a great idea. Also, I like the fact that it's all in one-stop shop, that you can go and pick it up. I always found it very frustrating. I had to go to the liquor store to get wine, and I had to find a beer store, drive over there and get my beer. Now it's in one stop. I can do it all. And then if I can just recycle it at the end of the day like that, I'm fine. I don't need a deposit.
Got to open up the liquor market. You know, it's great that you can get beer everywhere. It's okay that you can get the pre-mixed canned cocktails in some of those same places that you can get beer. I would really like to just deregulate the whole thing. Take every single LCBO, sever it from the LCBO, make it a standalone business. And if you want to buy an LCBO, you can. If you have money to invest, you can buy an LCBO, and you're going to inherit the inventory. You're going to inherit the staff. You're going to inherit it all. But we should just sell them all off and make them individual. And you know what? The LCBO is an interesting one because it is government owned. I hate that. I think it should be privatized. But they're also massive buildings. And in a lot of cases, they've got a ton of room in the back.
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't shift recycling over to the LCBO if we truly can't get rid of the deposit, or there's some other reason that we can't do what I'm proposing. Then forget the beer store. Take it back to the government-owned store. That's the government's job. They're the ones making all the money off selling liquor. Take your empties to the LCBO. That also makes sense. And I don't understand why we wouldn't do it. These are fully staffed stores that have an excess of room. Why wouldn't we just do that? Forget the beer store.
Absolutely.
And let them all go under. I'm fine with that. The taxpayers don't lose a penny when the beer store goes under.
You just come up with very obvious, simple solutions, yet anybody else thought of this? I feel like there's always a fight to everything.
Everything's a fight. Nobody wants to change anything. Everybody agrees the system's broken, but nobody wants to actually change anything. It's
What's the
crazy.
point? Then I don't want to hear you complain.
Today, Anna, is an important day in our history. It was today in, let me get the exact year here, the year 580 AD.
Well, that's far back.
Very, very long time ago. Toilet paper was invented by the Chinese.
And amen to that.
What do you think life was like before toilet paper? What were people using? Was it all leaves, or how did they wipe their butt?
I don't know, but it was definitely dirty. Hence the cloth diaper people were still using even to this day. So I think probably something like that.
Because it's National Toilet Paper Day, a number of companies, namely the ones that have a vested interest in all of us buying more toilet paper, come out with studies and surveys, and it gets talk. It gets fodder on the radio and television news and stuff like that. And normally I roll my eyes at this stuff, but we got a couple minutes left in this episode, so let me talk a little bit about toilet paper. And this will be kind of a personality test for you too, Anna.
Okay, I'm ready.
Have you ever taken toilet paper from work home and put it on the roller at home, i.e. stealing?
Yes.
You've done that.
Heck yeah. They didn't pay me enough.
So you stole the toilet paper?
Well, my money could only go a certain amount, and so toilet paper was right there. I put it in my bag, and off I went. They should have paid me more.
Unapologetically, just, you know what? I'm taking that. That's coming to my house.
Yeah, I don't have time to go to the grocery store to pick up more toilet paper, so this is convenience right here. Too bad, so sad. I'm taking it.
Wow. Usually work toilet paper is the worst toilet paper. They don't invest a lot into our butts.
It's like sandpaper, some of them. But these ones, they were a lot better. They were in the private bathrooms upstairs by the office folk.
Have you ever gone over to a date's house or someone you were interested in and judged them based on the quality or lack of quality of their toilet paper, i.e. thought less of them because they were using crappy, like, one ply?
Yeah. I definitely have thought, wow, you really don't care about what you're using. And also, I take into consideration how the toilet paper is hung, too.
It's got to be over, right?
Always over,
Always
but
over.
People like it the other way, and I think it's wrong.
57% of people admit they judge someone based on the toilet paper in their home. 4 out of 10 admit that it's a turnoff if they go to someone's house and they've got cheap toilet paper.
I don't think it's a turnoff, but it lets me see that they don't care about certain things.
Where does toilet paper come from? What do we make it out of?
You know, when you asked me before, I was like, I don't know. Where did it come from? I felt stunned. But that's trees.
It is trees. We told you this one on the radio.
This part, yes, because I'm so dumb.
In America alone, 31.1 million trees get cut down every year to make toilet paper.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I go through a lot of toilet paper.
I don't think you need to worry about the trees. They're one of the greatest renewable resources on Earth. A lot of them are burning down right now, but that's man-made. It's no other reason.
Conspiracy?
Yeah. 31.1 million trees a year get cut down just to provide America with enough toilet paper for the year.
Wow. That's more than I thought.
You know how big a roll of toilet paper is? We'll
Yes.
assume a standard roll. How many rolls do you figure you go through in a year?
Oh, a year. I go through a lot. I know in a week I could go through probably a whole bag. You almost spit out your coffee.
What? What?
You know, when you buy the 6-pack.
You go through 6 rolls of toilet paper a week.
I can. I don't like to just use a little. So I don't chintz out. Listen, I'm cheap with a lot of different things, but I don't cheap out when it comes to toilet paper and how much I use. Judge me. I don't care.
The average person uses 141 rolls of toilet paper in a year. 141. That works out to, over the course of a lifetime, 11,155 rolls.
See, I knew I was above average.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Let's keep going. Let's talk about toilet paper a little bit more. How much do you figure you spend on toilet paper every year? Think back to when you lived alone.
Oh my gosh, thousands of dollars.
The average household, how much do you spend on toilet paper a year?
Okay, $2,000.
$182.
What?
That's how much you spend on toilet paper every year. That's a tangible amount of money. The average person spends $182 a year on toilet paper.
Wow, I spent way more than that.
Clearly, you like toilet paper. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I even dated somebody who was so chintzy with toilet paper, they'd hide the rolls on me, and it was like a big to-do thing.
Okay. All right.
Is that weird? I thought that was weird. Like, worry about your own toilet paper. I'd have to go and bring my own home.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, guys. It just triggered something in me.
I don't want to tread into TMI territory at all.
But it's weird, though.
Uh-huh. Have you ever stuffed your bra with toilet paper?
Never. I never stuffed my bra. Only for Halloween when I needed like Dolly Parton boobs, but that's about it. I've never stuffed my bra.
1 in 3 women have stuffed their bra with toilet paper.
I could see it. And the thing is, I know me. I would forget that I've stuffed my bra. I would do something and then it would come out and then I would die of shame. So I've never stuffed my bra for that reason alone. Honestly. Is that not something that would happen to me?
Okay, I'm going to do 2 more. I'm going to fit 2 more in here.
Okay.
Today is a big day for some. I swear we should stop listening to the Farmer's Almanac. We should stop listening to the meteorologists. Starbucks seems to know when the weather is going to change. And they announced months ago that August 26th was the day the pumpkin spice latte would be back. And I remember it. People were like, this was back in like June or May.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too soon for the PSL. It's still summertime. Well, lo and behold, Starbucks knew something because it feels like fall in Southern Ontario today.
It really does. It was like 12 degrees this morning. Perfect for a nice warm beverage like a pumpkin spice latte. But it's too soon. I think they shouldn't be released at least until September, not August.
Also available on the Starbucks fall menu are the pumpkin cream cold brew. Have you ever had a cold brew?
I have had a cold brew. I do like them, but I still prefer if I'm going to drink a beverage, it's going to be hot. That's just how I like it.
There's the iced pumpkin cream chai tea latte. Wow, there's a lot going on there. Iced pumpkin cream chai tea latte.
How do you remember to order all of that? And also, how do the baristas do it? I have a hard time just making your black coffee.
They never use a cheat sheet.
I know.
They always, bartenders know how to make drinks. Baristas are similar. They just do it all with coffee.
But there's
I
so
get
much more. Yeah, sure.
Pecan oat cortado and the pecan crunch oat latte.
Sold on that one. That one I want to try.
Is it the pecan, the crunch, the oat, or the latte that you like there?
All of the above, but the crunch I'm interested in. I'm interested to see what that would be like.
There's also new food options. They've brought back the very popular pumpkin cream cheese muffin. That's a
for
pumpkin
you.
spice muffin injected with the cream cheese icing.
Heaven.
They have Fox sugar cookies, which proves they read my letters. There are now raccoon cake pops.
Okay, that's for me.
It's a tease, though.
It is. It's just enough that makes you want more. You'll come back.
And I feel like this next one is going to be popular. There's no chart. I feel like there should be charts for everything. You know how there's a chart that tells you what the most popular songs are and what the most popular movies are? Why don't we have that for food? You know, I'd love to be able to go into the grocery store and say, oh, look at that. New number one. Broccoli is on top right now. It's beating out cauliflower. I should get some broccoli. Everybody's eating it.
There you go.
I feel like we should have charts. Well, if there was a chart, when it comes to breakfast options, bagels would be high up the list.
I love bagel.
Out of all the bagels, I think the everything bagel is probably quite popular.
It's so good.
Starbucks, realizing that, has now launched mini everything bagels. They're like bite-sized.
Perfect. That's all you need sometimes.
That's
you just
brilliant.
need a fix, right?
Brilliant. Just love
it's
it.
so tasty and it's healthier.
So those are available now if you're interested in the Starbucks fall menu on the 26th of August, by the way. You know what, though? I mean, it does seem early to a lot of people. I get that. But just to put it in perspective, 4 months from today, Christmas will be over.
You just shut your mouth.
Christmas will be a memory 4 months from today. Boxing Day is 4 months from today, and Christmas will be over.
I'm not ready.
Less than 4 months.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
You don't have to be ready. It's still 4 months away.
I'm not
But in
ready.
4 months, it's going to be done.
That's just, it's coming so fast. How are we already at the end of August, August 26th? And we're talking about pumpkin spice lattes.
Labor Day is on Monday.
I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. I know it's coming, but I'm not ready.
Last one. Homeowners.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. If you buy a house and the house is near something that makes noise, like an airport, for example, do you have a right to complain about the noise from the airplanes? Or can we all agree you knew the airport was there when you bought the house, you bought it anyway, you can't complain about the noise from the airport?
You can't complain. And I can say that I live on a busy street, a very busy street in Cambridge, Ontario. You're hearing trucks, cars, mufflers, everything. That would be us complaining to the city that it's too loud. Like, they pretty much look at us like we're idiots.
But there are people who do that. You know, I think the best example is in Waterloo region. I was fascinated when I was being told stories from some municipal officials about the number of folks, because they built a bunch of homes around the region of Waterloo Airport. That's the Breslau area. The amount of complaining that people in that area do about airplanes taking off and landing is shocking, even though the airport was there decades before that house was even built. And you bought the house knowing there was an airport beside it. And these people just keep complaining. They want the airport shut down. That seems unreasonable to me.
I agree. You should move then. If that bothers you that much, why would you even think to buy a house in that area in the first place?
Well,
I think it's ridiculous. It's to complain about something like that when you know better. Why move there?
This is a slightly different version of that story. In Toronto, there's no shortage of people in the North York area. This would be just around the 401 and Allen Road area.
Okay.
Right where the new Rogers Stadium is. Rogers Stadium is a new stadium. It just opened up this summer. It's an outdoor venue meant to host big concerts. 50,000 people at least can fit into Rogers Stadium. The last 2 nights in a row, they've had Oasis performing live at Rogers Stadium. The amount of complaining coming from people in that area about the noise is becoming hard to ignore. Even some local politicians who approved this stadium going there are now saying we have to do something about the noise. But here's the catch. That stadium only hosts, I think this year in total, 8 shows. 8 shows. It's an average of 1 a week, and they last from about 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. So about 4 hours a week is when you hear the noise. They built that stadium at an old Air Force base. It was literally an airport, and it's been there a lot longer than most of the houses in that area. If you buy a house and then they build an open air stadium where an airport used to be, do you have a right to complain that much about the noise, given that it's really only a couple of hours on average once a week?
Complain to yourself, because it's not very often that it's happening. It's only till 11 o'clock as well throughout the week or the weekend. So typically that's when you're allowed to have loud noises continuing on. So they're still following the rules. I mean, what are you really complaining about?
Noise. So some people say their windows are rattling from the noise.
Bad?
Well,
come on.
My in-laws live actually very close to that new Rogers Stadium.
Okay.
And occasionally, if there's a show at Rogers Stadium, we'll park in their driveway and just Uber over to the show because it's less than a kilometer away. For Oasis yesterday, you could hear the concert in their driveway.
Clearly.
No, that's the thing. You could definitely hear noise. Okay. You couldn't make out the song they were singing, but you could obviously hear that there was a concert happening. They didn't really have a problem with it, and they've lived there a lot longer than the stadium has been there. It just got built this year. But again, you were prepared for noise because you bought a house next to an Air Force base.
Yeah, and in that area too, aren't planes flying over
all the time?
Constantly?
That's the flight path.
Yeah, and I feel like that's even louder and more often than a concert would ever be.
Do you have people playing music in your area? Because in my neighborhood, it's quiet.
Mine too.
I never hear people playing music. Where I used to live, you'd have backyard parties happening every Friday, Saturday night throughout the summertime, and that music went till 11 o'clock. At 11, if it didn't go off, you could phone bylaw and they would come and investigate. But until 11 o'clock, there was no complaining about it, just your neighbor blaring music in the backyard.
Yeah.
Isn't this kind of the same thing? Or do the people who live in that area have a point?
Listen, if they have a point, I don't see it. You bought the house, and even the house being there first before the stadium was built, I think that's just tough luck. I would be more concerned about the noise coming from the airplanes that's constantly flying over. I think you knew what you're sort of getting yourself into. So what are we really complaining about here?
There's also no shortage of people in Brampton, Ontario, who don't like the noise from constant airplanes flying overhead. But again, Brampton is right next to the airport. I don't know how you could move into something that was already there, move into an area where there is an airport existing, and complain about the noise. It doesn't make sense to me. I understand your frustration, but
yes,
the complaint really should go nowhere because you knew when you bought it, it was there.
Absolutely.
But we live in kind of a backwards society sometimes where politicians are actually entertaining these options and saying, okay, well, maybe we'll restrict flights during certain hours. And I don't think that that's appropriate.
No, it's not appropriate. When we bought the home that we live in now, the road wasn't as busy as it is now. We could have easily complained, but it is what happens with growth of cities and to accommodate certain structures and different musicians, musical acts. It's something to be met. I think it comes with the territory as you evolve as a community and grow.
Well said. Anna, thanks for joining me on this episode. It was great to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to go buy more toilet paper now.
Friday, you're good for listener DMs?
Yes. I can't wait to hear about your flight too.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited. Thursday, no episode. Friday, listener DMs will be on. There will be an episode tomorrow. Knock on wood. I'm still fighting something, but I'm winning the fight. Tomorrow, brand new episode of Scott Fox After 9. Friends, have yourselves a great day. Thank you for listening to this episode, and we'll catch you back here in less than 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.